communication takes work. If you're serious about communication, serious about getting your idea across to somebody else, it takes time sometimes to go through and make certain that you're communicating and you're getting feedback from the process. You want to be purposeful, economical, audience-oriented. Don't talk too much. When you're doing a written communication, people are busy. They don't want to sit there and hear you babble on. Get to the point. Be purposeful. We'll talk more about that later on in the course. Be audience-oriented. Who is your audience you're trying to communicate to? Try to put yourself in their shoes, and they have as much time as you have, or maybe as much time as you don't have. They could be in the same boat. So be audience-oriented as you go through. We're introducing now the 3x3 writing process. You're going to be using this throughout the entire course. If you're not, you're going to have some struggles as you go through. When you go through, you want to think about things pre-write. Sometimes you go through and you write things down, and you want to anticipate the audience reaction. Then you go through and you draft your first memo as you go through, and then you want to revise or edit and edit and edit as you go through. I occasionally write screenplays or plays. I prefer plays right now. So that being said, what I do, I got permission from the wife. Okay, I get to use the glass mirrored closet doors, and I have 4x6 cards. I have painter's tape. I have a concept. I write down the concept of what I want to say on a 4x6 card, and I tape it to the door. And I go through and I try to set it up according to the scenes as the play develops as I go along. But you know what? Sometimes I want to change it. So I grab this 4x6 card and I sit there and I shift it with this one, or I put a different order as you go through. I pre-write the scenes I want to communicate, and I will shift them around as I go through. I do the same thing on memos too. I'll sit down and take a piece of paper and I'll scribble a whole series of ideas, sometimes out of sequence and out of order. And then when I start preparing my first draft, I'll put them in the order that I want, but I may want to shift them as I go through as well. Pre-write, in other words, get your ideas down pat in your head and out of your head onto paper or on your computer. Create your draft, and then once your draft is done, look at it and read it again. I have a confession to make. I'm going to make it to you. Oh my gosh, once upon a time, I was bad. I know that's hard for you to believe. You look at me and says, wow, he's always a good person, but I've been bad. There was a dean I didn't like. We didn't get along in one of my jobs at a far different college than this one, back in the Midwest. So every once in a while, I would do something just to tweak him. And back then, it was called, he flamed out. Nowadays, we call it trolling. Not that I would ever do a thing called trolling, but maybe I did once or twice. So he sat down a couple times. He made ridiculous statements and everything else because he was pretty easy mark to set up. So him and I didn't get along. And so I'm presenting at a conference about communication. And I'm going through, and in the middle of this, I'm talking about working on teams and getting along and everything else. In the back of my mind, I had this whole thing coming forward about how this dean and I, we didn't like each other and we didn't get along, and how I was a bad team player with him, because frankly, I was. And also occurred to me that while I'm talking to this conference, I'm being pretty hypocritical about it as well. And I thought, okay, you're being so disingenuous. You are the biggest hypocrite in this entire room. I don't know the entire room because there are a lot of people. There could have been other hypocrites there, but I was clearly in the top 5, no matter what happened. So I sat down and I promised myself that I would try to be a better person and stop being so bad, especially about this whole thing on communications and about team. I went out and I had just sent out a memo the day before. It was a beautiful memo. It was 1 page long. So the day before the conference, they put this out over there, and I had 3 people question the content of my memo, but it was really well done. And the answers were obviously right there. These people obviously didn't have any good communication skills, but since I was busy questioning myself the next day, I looked at it and thought, well, maybe I kind of messed up the communication part of it. So the next time I had to do a campus-wide memo, okay, I went back, I went to the dean who I didn't get along with. I says, I need some help from you. He sat there and pushed himself back from his desk because he didn't trust me at all. And I can't blame him because I was bad. I wasn't nice to him. So that being said, well, what do you need? So I told him, I said, I'd like you to take my memo. Here's the memo. This is the draft. I'm going to send it out to the entire campus. I'd like to have your feedback on it. And if you want to sit down and add some language to it, I would have no problem with that. All right, I'll look at it. Just send me electronic copy. So I emailed him a copy of it. He had the memo on his desk. He added 2 entire paragraphs that ate up half of a page, and my perfect 1-page memo now was a page and a half. And he said things that were already in the memo. I thought, he's just talking circular logic. It doesn't make any sense. But okay, you said you would be a good team player. So he read it, he added things to it, and I sent it out. And I didn't get one question about the content of it. We're talking about a campus with several hundreds of employees on it, and nobody questioned it. They followed through, even though I thought it was repetitive and unnecessary, those 2 additional paragraphs. The thing I found was, even if I'm communicating well, some people communicate a different way, and he was communicating to a segment that he could reach better with his style of communications than I could. Yes, we had the same facts. And so what I discovered from that point forward, and I've always done it on memos, even to this day, on serious memos, I always have a second pair of eyes take a look at it to make certain I'm communicating, or if they have any questions. And occasionally I find out that I need to modify 1 or 2, and sometimes maybe the whole message as you go through. I also understood too that sometimes if you sit down and have a harsh thing to say, you have a draft one day and you come back after a night's sleep the next day, and all of a sudden you may revise as you go through. So pacing and writing process, the 3x3 process, pre-write, draft, revise. Sometimes you revise with somebody looking at your document, and an awful lot of times you need to revise multiple times as you go through. Good communication, it takes work. If it's important enough to send, it should be important enough to look at twice. Major communications, use a group editing team on different things. I think that's a really effective tool in the process as well. Take care.